start? When should I start? I can start? Okay. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. So after praising Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala for what He has conferred upon us from favors that cannot be counted and enumerated, we would like to express our gratitude for our brothers here at Masjid Al-Ikhlaas in Delaware for extending the invitation to come visit with you all. Without doubt, it is nothing but the love for our volume up. So without doubt, it is due to our love for our brothers from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah that has brought us here. As Sufyan al-Thawri, rahmatullah alayhi, he mentioned that when you hear about a man of the Sunnah in the eastern parts of the earth or the western parts of the earth, then convey salams to him. فَإِنَّهُمْ الْغُرَبَاء, for indeed they are the strangers. So without doubt, our love for our brothers has brought us here. And the topic that we're going to speak about today is something that I've addressed before. And I see no need to reinvent the wheel. So I'm not into trying to reinvent the wheel. But we're going to add some additional benefits to this topic that I've addressed before in the past. And the issue is Al-Hasad, or the evil of Al-Hasad, which is envy. And likewise the Hasad, the enviers. Evils of envy and the enviers. Without doubt, the evil of Hasad is something which Allah Ta'ala has instructed us inside of His book to seek refuge with Him from. As Allah Ta'ala said, وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ, and from the evil of the envier, the hasid, إِذَا حَسَدٍ, when he manifests his hasad. For hasad, ayyul ikhwa, it is a disease, it is a da', it is an illness, and it is an illness amongst the illnesses of the heart, and it afflicts the souls of the people. And it is a marad, it is a sickness that it does not have any particular indicators, meaning it is not specific to one race of people, one class or category of people. Rather, you find that hasad, it afflicts the rich person just as it afflicts the poor person. A rich person may be envious of another rich person, somebody who's richer than him. And likewise, the poor person may be envious. Likewise, the one who has means and the one who does not have means. As well as al-alim, the one who has knowledge, and the jahil. Likewise, they are subject to feeling envy. The one who is at his asl, someone who is obedient to Allah Ta'ala and a good person, may fall into having envy of someone else. The male as well as the female, the young and the old, all are subject to fall into this evil. So the definition of al-hasad, what is it? The ulama, they say al-hasad, it is tamanni zawal al-ni'ma an al-mahsud, that one wishes for the removal of a ni'mah, of a blessing that Allah Ta'ala has bestowed upon someone. You want to see that blessing removed from that person. So when kanat ni'mah ilm wa ma'rifah, whether it may be any type of blessing it may be, it can be the ni'mah of ilm. Perhaps Allah Ta'ala has given someone knowledge and you don't like to see this person having knowledge. You want to see that knowledge removed from that person. Now, or it is the ni'mah of wealth. Perhaps a person has been favored and blessed financially, so one sees that and harbors or possesses envy inside of their heart for that wealthy person. Or tijara, a person is a businessman or businesswoman and their business is flourishing and it is turning a good profit, so one harbors envy for that person and wants to see that business crumble. They want to see it go under. Or ni'mah, it can be the ni'mah of status and rank. perhaps someone has status amongst the people, and another individual works all of his life trying to attain that status, but Allah keeps it away from him. Yet this person who doesn't even try for it ends up attaining a particular status amongst the people. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala, the hearts of the people are between the two fingers of Ar-Rahman. He turns them however He wills. So Allah Ta'ala places love inside of the hearts of His creatures for someone else amongst His creatures. This is by the tawfiq of Allah Azza wa Jal. And you have another individual who's striving all of his life to attain that, and it just keeps escaping him. So he is envious of the one who has attained a status amongst the people. Or it can be a vehicle that a person may have, clothing which the person may wear, or good health and strength in his body. A person may be envied because he's healthy. He looks good. He's physically strong. Or she looks good. She's beautiful. Alhamdulillah. And she's in good shape. So she may be envied, or he may be envied on the account of that by the one who does not have these favors. Or food and drink. So let us be careful what we post on Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp and the likes of this. People like taking pictures of their food these days. You're going to be envied on the account of that. And we're going to see some of the harms that can come about due to that. Now, a person may be envied for what they eat and what they drink. Or the person may have beautiful children, a beautiful family life. His wife is beautiful, her husband is handsome, and the likes of this. And thus, they are envied on the account of that. Or they may have stability in their family life. Someone who is unstable, they don't have that same stability, may envy them on the account of that. Or they may have sum'ah, a good reputation amongst the people. The people think well of them. So the envious person may envy them on the account of that. So you find them making statements like, so-and-so is not all that. Oh, he's not all that. She's not all that. I know what you don't know. I'm from this place and I know about these people what you don't know about these people. It's envy. It's envy talking. It's envy. Nah, beautiful appearances, good job, and the likes of that. Hasad, ayyuhal ikhwa wal akhawat, it is the first sin with which Allah Ta'ala was disobeyed in the heavens. The first sin that was committed, the first act of disobedience to Allah Ta'ala within the heavens was hasad. This was when Iblis, la'natullah alayh, had envy of our father Adam alayhi salam. And thus he withheld from prostrating to Adam, acknowledging his virtue over him at the command of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So as a result of his envy, he ended up losing out on his portion of the hereafter and losing the status that he once held. As Allah Ta'ala said, قَالَ مَا مَنَعَكَ أَلَّا تَسْجُدَ إِذْ أَمَرْتُكَ. Allah Ta'ala said, what has prevented you from prostrating when I issued my command to you? He said, قَالَ أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِنْهُ. He said, I'm better than him. I'm better than him. خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. Why did he think that he was better than Adam alayhi salam? Because you created me from fire, you created him from clay. The ulama, they say he was the first one to use qiyas, analytical deduction, the first one to compare himself to another individual based upon genetic makeup, how he was created, how he was made. In essence, the first racist. I'm made different from him, therefore I'm better than this individual on the account of how I was created and made. And in reality, his qiyas was qiyas fasid. It was a corrupt analogy. It was an incorrect analogy to begin with. Because the reality is that fire is not better than and more beneficial than clay or the earth. Because fire burns and destroys. Whereas the earth is, when you cultivate it, then it brings forth fruits and vegetation and growth. So the reality is that he is not better than him. So his qiyas that he made was incorrect. But he held this assumption and was envious of Adam on the account of that. Likewise, hasad was the first sin with which Allah Ta'ala was disobeyed upon the earth. So it was the first sin in the heavens and the first sin on earth. This was when one of the two sons of Adam envied his brother, and therefore he murdered him on the account of his envy. Allah Ta'ala said, وَاتْلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ ابْنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ. Recite to them the story of the two sons of Adam in truth. إِذْ قَرَّبَا قُرْبَانًا فَتُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ مِنْ الْآخَرِ. When both of them slaughtered a sacrifice, and that sacrifice was accepted from one of them, but it was not accepted from the other. قال, he said, لَأَقْتُلَنَّكَ. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Why? Because he was envious. Look what envy led him to. Murder. قال, he said in response, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah only accepts from the people of taqwa. And hasad, ayyuhal ikhwa, it is a shar, it is an evil that brings along with it other evils. It is an evil that brings along with it other evils. From the evils that it brings along with it, al-ujb is self-amazement. Self-amazement, being amazed with oneself. Thus he believes, or she believes, regarding him or herself, that Allah Ta'ala has erred, Allah has made a mistake in giving the blessing to that person because I am more deserving of that ni'mah than so-and-so. So they are amazed with themselves. وَالْإِحْتِقَارِ وَالْكِبْرِ. It brings along with it the belittlement of others. The belittlement of others. The Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, what do you say about ihtiqar? بِحَسْبِ امْرِئٍ مِّنَ الشَّرِّ أَن يَحْقِرَ أَخَاهُ الْمُسْلِمِ. It is a sufficient amount of evil for a person. Meaning, if you didn't do any other evil except this, if you didn't steal, you didn't kill, you didn't do any other evil, but you look down upon your Muslim brother, hasbuk. That's enough. You don't got to do anymore. بِحَسْبِ امْرِئٍ مِّنَ الشَّرِّ أَن يَحْقِرَ أَخَاهُ الْمُسْلِمِ. A sufficient amount of evil is it for an individual that he looks down upon his Muslim brother. Hasad brings that along with it. Looking down upon an individual, believing that he or she is not deserving of that ni'mah that Allah has bestowed upon them. So you look down upon them. Likewise, kibr, arrogance. Arrogance. And Iblis, la'natullah alayh, combined all three of these. He had all three of these. Belittlement of Adam, looking down upon him, being amazed with himself and what he was created from, arrogance, and all of that. As for the envier himself, the envier himself is that which, or the individual who hates the attainment of the blessing of Allah Ta'ala for other people. And he loves that if the blessing descends upon an individual, that blessing should be stripped away from them. And if the blessing has not yet reached them, then they want to block the blessing from reaching them with everything they have at their disposal. A person plans upon getting married, then the envious person sees that and they want to block their marriage. A person intends on or is trying to get a job. They're trying to open a business. They're trying to do something that's going to benefit them in this life or the hereafter. The hasad is sitting on the sideline, doing whatever they can to stop that good from reaching them. Not realizing that Allah Ta'ala is in control of the affairs. If Allah wants good to reach somebody, there's nothing you can do to stop it. Just as if Allah Ta'ala wants to withhold goodness from someone, there's no one or nothing that anyone can do to bring that good to that person. And due to this, it is said concerning the affair of the hasad, of the envier, that al-bakhilu yabkhulu bimalihi, that a person who is stingy, he's stingy with his own wealth. A stingy person, he's stingy, okay, it's a bad characteristic, but he's stingy with something that belongs to him anyway. And he say, ash-shahihu yabkhulu bimali ghayrihi, the one who is covetous, he's covetous over the wealth that other people possess. He lusts and he longs for something in somebody else's possession. But the hasad, the envious individual, ashaddu minhuma, is more evil and more intense than these two. Why? because he is covetous and stingy with the ni'mah of Allah Ta'ala. Hasad ayul ikhwa, or the Hasad themselves, the envious people, are of two categories. They are of two categories. The first category is the individual who is envious and he hates within his heart the blessings of Allah Ta'ala descending upon other people. However, even though he hates to see that, and they don't like seeing the blessings of Allah Ta'ala going to others, you don't find this individual working and doing anything to stop that. You don't find the individual speaking against the person whom they envy, harming them with their statements, nor harming them with their actions. But rather, the individual finds within their own selves a type of sadness, a type of grief, a type of anxiety every time he sees good reaching someone else. Whether that good may be in the form of wealth, or status, or position, or knowledge and understanding, or a good job, a good position amongst the people, other than that. The second category of enviers is the one who has envy inside of his heart for someone else, and hatred for blessings reaching the individual, but due to the severity of his hasad, it pushes him and it drives the individual to work to harm that person whom they envy, either harming them in statement, speaking about them. This is why Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullah alayh, he said that from amongst the people that are those who their hasad leads them to backbite others. They're so envious that it leads them to do what? Backbite others. So therefore he has combined two ugly affairs. The affair of hasad and the affair of eating the flesh of the people. Now, so some of the people that are like this, that their hasad leads them to harming the mahsud, the one whom they envy, in statement, or perhaps it may lead to harming them in action, like we see in the story of the two sons of Adam. It led him to what? Murder. It led him to murder. And so you find that person criticizing without due right, and you find them backbiting, perhaps even lying upon the person whom they are envious of, scheming and plotting, and you find that person walking about, striving to harm this individual, hurling accusations at them which have no basis whatsoever, and magnifying their mistakes. The person falls into a small error, a small mistake. Then the one who envies them are going to do what? Blow it up. They're going to blow it up, make it much bigger than it actually is. And you find them gathering people's faults and shortcomings. They can remember every single mistake that an individual made as if they haven't made mistakes. As if they don't have their own shortcomings. They can remember every single mistake which the one whom they envy has fallen into. And he does not accept any excuse. He does not accept any excuse that a person may have. Why? Because they are envious of them. Nor do they accept from them a recantation and an apology from the one whom they envy. Rather, they hate that individual. And they want to make him hated amongst the people. The reality of hasad is that the evil of it, when one has envy inside of his heart, her heart, then the evil of that hasad reaches them before it even reaches the person whom they hate. It's going to hit them first before it even goes and harms the person whom they are envious of. This comes on the authority of Zubair radiallahu anhu, that he said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Dabba ilaykum da'u al-umami qablakum Al-Hasad wal-Baghdad. He said, creeping towards you is the disease of the nations before you. Al-Hasad wal-Baghdad. Hasad, we know what this is. Wal-Baghdad, having mutual hatred amongst yourselves. Hiya al-Haliqa. He said that it shaves. It shaves. Shaves what? He says, La aqulu tahluq al-sha'r. I'm not saying that it shaves your hair, but rather, lakin tahluq ad-deen. It shaves your religion. It shaves your religion. The one who has envy inside of his heart, he will find his religion slowly being shaved away. Bit by bit by bit by bit, until his religion is what? Bald. He has no deen anymore. And there's no holds barred from that point. So the harm is going to reach him first before it reaches the mahsud. For this reason, Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, he said, لا ينبغي أن تطلبوا لحاسدك عقوبة أكثر مما هو فيه. He said, you don't even have to wish for and desire for the one that envies you a punishment more severe than the punishment he's already in. Someone who is hating on you, as they say, and envying you, if this is genuinely the case, you don't have to hope for and desire a punishment for him or for her more severe than the punishment they're already living in. He says, فَإِنَّهُ فِي أَمْرٍ عَظِيمٍ مُتَّصِلٍ. For this person, they are currently residing inside of a punishment that is tremendous and it is ongoing. And nothing will please this person إِلَّا زَوَالْ نِعْمَتِكَ, except seeing the removal of that blessing from you. So therefore he says, كُلْ مَا امْتَدَّتْ, the more your blessing increases, the more his punishment intensifies. The more good that comes to you, the more their punishment and their torment intensifies. فَلَا عَيْشَ لَهُ, so they have no life. They have no life. So we're not worried about who dislikes us or who is hating on us, who is envious and jealous of us. The punishment is severe upon them. It's more severe upon them, and it will affect them before it affects us. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Abu Hatim, he mentioned, Al-wajib ala al-aqil mujanaba al-hasad. It is obligatory upon the one who has sound intellect to avoid hasad ala al-ahwal kulliha, in any circumstance. He shouldn't be jealous or envious of anyone. Shouldn't be jealous or envious of anyone. He says, فَإِنَّ أَحْوَنْ خِصَالِ الْحَسَدِ, for the smallest of the characteristics, the least that can be said about hasad, when one envies someone else, the least that can be said about that, هُوَ تَرْكَ الرِّضَى بِالْقَضَى, that it is the abandonment of being pleased with Allah's decree. It's the least that you can say about it. This person is not pleased that Allah Ta'ala has decreed whatever He has decreed. Allah has decreed wealth, He has decreed beauty, He has decreed strength, He has decreed prosperity. Whatever He has decreed upon His person, the hasid is not pleased with the decree of Allah Ta'ala. He says, Naam, وَإِرَادَ did ma hakam Allah jalla wa ala li'ibadi. And he wants and he desires the opposite of what Allah Ta'ala has decreed and ruled upon His servants with. He says, وَالْحَاسِدْ لَا تَهْدَى رُوحًا, and the hasid is such that his soul will not be content, nor will his body be at ease إِلَّا عِنْدَ رُؤْيَةِ زَوَالِ النِّعْمَةِ عَنْ أَخِيهِ, until he sees the blessing being removed from his brother. That's the only thing that will ease his heart. The only thing that will bring him comfort in his life is seeing that blessing removed. So this is the state and the affair of the hasid. As-Samarqandi, he mentioned, لَيْسَ شَيْءٍ مِنَ الشَّرِّ أَدَرْ مِنَ الْحَسَدِ. There's nothing from evil that is more severe and intense than hasad. Nothing from evil is more severe and intense and harmful then hasad. لأنه يصل إلى الحاسد 5 عقوبات قبل أن يصل إلى المحسود مكروه. Because the hasad, the envier, 5 individual punishments hit him before one undesirable thing even touches the one that he is envious of. The 5 are, firstly, gham la yanqati', a type of sadness that will not be discontinued. It will not cease. A sadness that will not cease. Why? Because that very thing that he desires to see, he's not seeing it. That is what? The removal of the blessing from the one whom he envies. So there's a sadness that will not be cut off. Because he can't control the blessings of Allah Ta'ala. He can't control who Allah Ta'ala extends his favor to. The second, musibatun la yu'jar alayha, that he is inside of a calamity for which he's not going to be rewarded. There's also regarding the calamities that befall a Muslim is that what? If he's patient, he's going to get an ajr. He'll get a reward for it. Anything that afflicts the believer, even the pricking of a thorn, if he's patient, he's going to get a reward for it. It's a musibah, a small musibah, much less the bigger masa'ib. But the hasid, he is in a musibah, he's not even going to get a reward for it. You're being tormented, you're being tried and tested, but you're not even going to get a reward for that. The third is that this person is blameworthy with a blameworthiness that as long as it is present, he can never be praised or commended for anything. It doesn't matter. And as we said, the affair of hasad, it afflicts everyone. The rich, the poor, the person who's already handsome and beautiful, the person who's not so much so, the person who's healthy, the person who's weak and sick, the person who's young, the person who's old, male, female. Now, and so this person, no matter what they have of goodly characteristics, if they're beautiful, if they're handsome, if they're rich already, whatever the case may be, but they're envious of someone, it doesn't matter. As long as that characteristic is present, this person can't be praised for anything. You can't be commended or praised for a single characteristic which they may have. Fourthly, yuskhar alayhi Rabb, his Lord is displeased with him. His Lord is displeased with him. Fifthly, tughlaq alayhi abwab at-tawfiq, the doors of success are closed upon him, as long as he has these characteristics within him. Likewise, what is mentioned in connection to al-hasad is the affair of al-ayn, the evil eye. The affair of the evil eye. The meaning of the statement that we recite in Surah Al-Falaq, إِذَا hasad, is إِذَا أَظْهَرَ مَا فِي نَفْسِهِ مِنَ الْحَسَدِ, when whatever he has inside of his soul from envy comes out. When it manifests itself, it comes out upon his tongue, it comes out upon his limbs, it manifests itself till he begins talking, he begins acting, and like this. وحمله الحسد على إيقاع الشر بالمحسود قولا أو فعلا. And the envy of this person drives that person. It drives him and pushes him to ridicule or to try to harm the one whom he envies, either in statement or in action, or both, or perhaps even both. And so when we seek refuge with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala from al-hasad or al-hasid, either hasad, what enters into that is al-ayn, is the evil eye. For the evil eye is real. The evil eye is real. And a person being afflicted with the evil eye, it comes about one or two ways. It has two reasons, if you will, that it is brought about. The first of them, and ينظر الإنسان إلى شيء, that a person looks at something with a nadra of i'jab. He looks at something and he likes that thing that he sees. He's amazed by the thing that he sees, about the thing that she sees. Or they deem it to be something which is worthy of mention. It is a nice thing. But they don't supplicate to Allah Ta'ala to bless that thing. They don't supplicate to Allah to bless that thing. So you see, it's not all about somebody hating. Sometimes the evil eye can come from someone who loves you, and you love them. Now, this is why we must always supplicate for Allah Ta'ala to bless something that we see that we like, that we deem to be good. Whether from our wives, we see her, she's beautiful, we supplicate, make dua for her. Our children, they look nice, supplicate, make dua for them. Now, lest we afflict those whom we love with al-ayn. Due to what has come on the authority of Amir ibn Rabi'a from his father, that he said, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا رَأَى أَحَدُكُم مِّن نَفْسِهِ
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Due to this, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, and what has come on the authority of Amir ibn Rabi'a, who reported from his father, that he said, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا رَأَى أَحَدُكُم مِّن نَفْسِهِ أَوْ مَالِهِ أَوْ أَخِيهِ مَا يُعْجِبُهُ فَلْيَدْعُوا بِالْبَرَكَةِ فَإِنَّ الْعَيْنَ حَقٌّ. He said that if one of you sees within his own self, or his wealth, or his brother, that which he likes, that which is pleasing, then let him supplicate to Allah Ta'ala for blessings upon that thing. For indeed the evil eye is real. It's an indication that the two are connected. Not supplicating to Allah Ta'ala is a door or a means for the evil eye to afflict that which one sees, even if you love the person loves you. Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar, he mentioned within Al-Fath, أن العين تكون مع الإعجاب ولا بغير حسد. That al-ayn, the evil eye, comes about bil-i'jab, yani from something that you see that you like, something that is pleasing to you. وَلَا بِغَيْرِ حَسَد, even if there is no hasad present. Even if there is no hasad present. وَلَا مِنْ الرَّجَلِ الْمُهِبِ, even from a man who loves the person whom he afflicts with the evil eye. وَمِنْ الرَّجَلِ الصَّالِحِ, even from a righteous person. Even from a righteous person their asl is good. The asl is wholesome. They have a wholesome nature, but they are not free of this affair. وَإِنَّ الَّذِي يُعْجِبُهُ الشَّيْء يَنْبَغِي أَنْ يُبَادُ إِلَى الدُّعَاء. So the individual who likes something and is pleased by something that he sees, it is proper and befitting that he rushes to make dua for that which he has seen that he likes, for barakah to descend upon it. For that, in this case, will be a means of ruqyah from himself. The second avenue or means by way of which an ayn or the evil eye afflicts someone. And yanzur al-insan ila shay nadrata hasadin. A person looks at something with a look of envy. He looks at something with a look of envy. Walau min al-a'ma. Even if the person is blind, they can't even see it. Even if they're blind, they can't even see the thing which they envy. As Ibn Qayyim mentioned, with nafs al-a'in, he said that the one who afflicts others with the evil eye, is the effect is not limited and restricted to what one sees. He says, bal qad yakun a'ma. He says, rather even perhaps a blind person, yusaf lahu shay, something is described to him, and it stirs something up inside of them, and it afflicts the person whom they are envious of, وَإِن لَمْ يَرَهُ, even if he didn't see it. He says, وَكَثِيرٌ مِنَ الْعَائِنِينَ يُطَرُوا أو يُؤَثَرُوا مِنَ الْمُعَيَّنِ بِالْوَصْفِ مِنْ غَيْرِ رُؤْيَةٍ. He says, and many of those who afflict others with the evil eye, they are envious of someone for something they didn't even see firsthand. They didn't even see it, just heard about it. This is mentioned within Zad al-Ma'ad. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he mentioned, وَالْحَسَدُ مَرَضٌ مِنْ أَمْرَاضِ النَّفْسِ. That hasad is a disease from the psychological diseases and illnesses. For marad ghalib, he says, so it is a disease that the majority of the people at some point are going to be afflicted with it, illa al-qalil min al-nas, except a small amount of people, except a very small amount of people. وَلِهَذَا يُقَالُ, due to this, it is said, مَا خَلَى جَسَدٌ مِنْ حَسَدٍ, that there is no jasad free of hasad. There's no body that hasad has never come to. Naam, lakin al-la'im, he says, but the la'im, the evil and despicable person, yubdihi, he manifests and shows his envy. However, the evil person manifests and shows his envy, and the noble person conceals and suppresses that. It has come on the authority of Abdullah bin Amr radiallahu anhuma that he said that قال لرجل من الصحابة, he said to a man amongst the Sahaba, سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ثلاث مرار, I heard the Messenger of Allah عليه الصلاة والسلام on 3 separate occasions say, يَتْلُو عَلَيْكُمْ الْآنْ رَجُلٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ, that a man from the people of paradise is about to come to you. A man from the people of paradise is about to come to you. فَطَلَعْتَ أَنْتَ الثَّلَاث مِرَارٍ, and he said to this man that each time the Messenger of Allah alayhi wasallam said this, you walk right into the masjid. You walk right into the masjid. He says, فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ آوِيَ إِلَيْكَ, so I wanted to come to you and spend some time around you in order that I can examine and look at your actions and see why he said this about you, so that I can imitate and be like you. But I didn't see you doing much deeds. I didn't see that you have much deeds with you. So what is it that has caused you to reach this status by way of which the Messenger of Allah alayhi wasallam said this about you? The man said, "Ma huwa illa ma ra'ayt." He said, I don't have anything with me except what you have seen. I mean, I don't do much salawat at night. I don't do much fast. I don't do much deeds. غَيْرَ أَنِّي لَا أَجِدُ فِي نَفْسِي لِأَحَدٍ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ غِشًّا. However, I don't have any rancor or any ill feelings in my heart for a single Muslim. وَلَا أَحْسُدُ أَحَدًا عَلَى خَيْرٍ أَعْطَاهُ اللَّهُ إِيَّهُ. Nor do I envy another individual for a good that Allah has given him. Abdullah bin Amr, he said, هَذَا الَّتِي بَلَغَتْ بِكَ. This is that which has caused you to reach that level. وَهِيَ الَّتِي لَا نُطِيقُ. And it is that which we don't have the capability of doing. You know, paradise is surrounded by what? Difficult things. Things that are difficult and hard to attain. But when a person, he breaks through that difficulty, he will arrive at what is behind that difficulty by the permission of Allah Ta'ala. So Abdullah, being humble, he said, this is that which we don't have the ability to do. So we understand that at some point somebody's going to be envious of something. But the Kareem, the righteous person, when he finds this inside of himself, he suppresses that, he pushes it down, strives to remove it from himself. He doesn't act upon it. He doesn't speak on it. And like this. Ibn Rajabi said, Al-Hasad markuz fi taba' al-bashar. That hasad is something which is innate in the nature of the human. هو أن الإنسان يقرأ أن يفوته أحد من جنسه في شيء من الفضائل. And it is that a person does not like that any other person from his same jins, any other person from his same locale, his same status, his same, whatever the case may be, he doesn't like seeing somebody outdo him in virtue. He doesn't like seeing someone outdo him or her in virtue. But after this, the people are divided into three categories. The people are divided into three categories. Again, hasad is something natural at certain instances or some level. Because nobody likes to be outdone and outstripped as it relates to virtuous and good things. But building upon this, the people are of three categories. There are three categories. Firstly, منهم من يسعى في زواء نعمة ونعمة المحسود بالبغي عليه بالقول والفعل ويتبع هذا القسم نوعان. Is that from amongst them there are those who work and they strive to remove that blessing from the one whom they envy by transgression against them, either in statement, speaking about them in an evil manner, hoping that their speech leads to the removal of their blessing, or action. And what follows from here, that these people who actually work and strive to remove the blessing are of two categories. Okay? The people who work and strive to remove the blessing, they themselves are of two categories. Alright? As it relates to envy as a whole, it's something innate inside of everyone, but the people are three categories as it relates to it. The first category is who? I want you to understand this concept. The people who do what? They work to remove the blessing from the one they envy. Alright? They do what? Okay. Now, those who work to remove the blessing from the one they envy are further divided into two categories. Okay? The first category are those who, when they work to remove the blessing from the person, they hope to make it transfer to themselves. They want to take it away from them and transfer it to themselves. The second are those who they work to remove the blessing from the person whom they envy, and they don't even want it for themselves. They just don't want him to have it. They just don't want her to have it. And this is the most evil of the two. This is the most evil of the two. And this is the type of hasad that Iblis had. That's what Iblis had. Iblis knew where he was hit. He knew where he was going. All right? He knew there was no chance for him to attain that virtue. There was no chance for him to get to Jannah. He knew it. He just didn't want Adam to have that virtue. He just didn't want Adam to have the promise of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. But as Ibn Qayyim, he mentioned, concerning the Malaika even, they were unaware of the tremendous act of worship called Tawbah. They were unaware of the tremendous act of worship called Tawbah. They had no clue about this. Likewise, Iblis had no clue about this affair, and by way of which Allah Ta'ala forgave and pardoned Adam. So these people, though the second type from the first type, they are the most evil. They are the most evil. The second type or category of people, when it comes down to hasad, they are a qism من الناس إذا حسد غيره لم يعمى بمقتضى حسده. That whenever they envy others, they have hasad inside of themselves for others, they don't work by what that hasad necessitates. They don't act upon it. They don't speak about the person whom they envy. They don't strive to remove the blessing from them by any means whatsoever. Nah, they don't harm them in any way. But rather, you find this person working to attain the likes of the virtues which this person has attained. And wishing that they can be similar to them in virtue. And they don't work, nor do they want to see the blessing removed from the person whom they envy. This type of hasad is called what? Ghibta. It's called ghibta. Also called ghibta. Some of the ulama, they say it's pronounced with a dhamma upon the ghain. Some say there's a kasra upon the ghain. It's ghibta or ghibta. It is a permissible form of jealousy, and it's called hasad metaphorically only. It's not actually hasad. Because hasad is defined, as we said, wishing for the removal of a blessing from the one whom you envy. As for ghibta, it is the permissible form of jealousy, concerning which the Messenger of Allah said, alayhi salatu wasalam, la hasada illa fi ithnatayn. There is no hasad except in two instances. Right? He said hasad, but again, it's said metaphorically. What the reality is that it is ghibta or ghibta. Then he mentioned the two cases. Rajulun atahu Allahu malan. A man, likewise, will enter into that as a woman as well, that Allah Ta'ala has given wealth to. And they utilize that wealth, spending that wealth for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Perhaps they're giving sadaqah, perhaps they're buying books, perhaps they're making hajj and umrah, perhaps they're doing all types of khair and goodness. So a person sees that and they say, what? I wish that Allah had given me what he gave that person, and I would do with it what they are doing with it. They don't want to see it removed. They don't want to see it removed, but they want similar. And they work to attain that similar. Now, and the second, rajulun atahu Allahu malan, a person that Allah Ta'ala has given wealth to, he's given ilm to. He's given ilm to, religious knowledge. And he teaches that knowledge, and he judges and rules by that knowledge. So a person sees that and says, I wish that Allah had given me what he has given him. I would have done what he has done with it. And the woman enters into that world as well. And the ulama, they say the reality is that it's all of the abwab al-khair. Every avenue of goodness, every avenue of virtue that you see someone has, you don't want to see it removed from them, but you want similar for yourself, and thus you work to attain that without wishing to see it removed. It's called ghibta or ghubta. Now, if that virtue, it is a dunya virtue, there is no khair in it. If there is a virtue that is a religious virtue, then it is good. And even the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salam, he wished for and desired martyrdom for himself. Did he attain that or no? Who says no? Did the Messenger of Allah attain shahada? Did he attain martyrdom? Was he martyred? Who says yes? Okay. How? Ahsant. Okay. He was poisoned. And as Ibn Qayyim mentioned, perhaps you've seen his benefit that we posted some time ago. Ibn Qayyim, he mentioned concerning hijama. It's not a shameless plug for my business. But he said concerning hijama, right? That hijama on the kahil, right? The area just below the neck. He said that this is the closest point by way of which the hijama reaches the heart, right? And he mentioned how the Messenger of Allah alayhi salam was cut there when the Jewish women poisoned him. And the cupping there, it staved off the effects of the poison, even though it didn't remove it totally. And then it finally took effect when Allah Ta'ala wanted to bring about for him two virtues, the virtue of prophethood, messengership, and the virtue of martyrdom. Now, and so, this is the second category. The third and final category is a qism, a category that if an individual finds within himself something from hasad, when he or she finds something creeping up and welling up inside of them from hasad, sa'a fi izalatihi. They strive to remove it. They strive to remove it. Wa fil ihsan ila al-mahsud. And they strive to be good to the one whom they are envious of, by manifesting all types of goodness and dua for that person. and spreading their virtue, circulating and speaking about this person's virtue, and removing what lies inside of their soul from envy until that envy is transformed and changed into love. It's transformed and changed into love. Now, and desiring that their Muslim brother, their Muslim sister should continuously be in a better position than themselves. وَهَذَا مِنْ أَعْلَى دَرَجَاتِ الْإِيمَانِ. And this is from the highest levels of Iman. The one who's like this is from the highest levels of Iman. And the person who is like this is al-mu'min al-kamil. That's the complete believer. The person who's a believer and is the complete believer in the Iman, this is the one who loves for his brother what he loves for himself. This is mentioned by Ibn Rajab in Jami' al-Ulum wal-Hikam with some slight amending of the wording. We'll stop here inshallah ta'ala and prepare for the salah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Any correction of a mistake or a question related to the subject matter, then we can deal with that inshallah ta'ala. If not, we'll go ahead and pray. Okay, not, mashallah.